All right, good morning, everybody. And you get to see some of the behind-the-scenes cool stuff of what happens before we actually get on camera. This is episode 13, and it's called America's Generational Divide. I am Dave Ford.
And I'm Todd Steele.
Guys, we're excited to have you in today. This has been a subject that me and Ty have wanted to talk about for a long, long time. This is something you and I have talked about alongside coaching each other, teaching, walking in the hallways, talking on the phone. And then we were like, if we could just teach a class. If we could just make up a class for us, that would be amazing. How about you ease us into some of the things that you want to talk about with, you've got Generation Xers. We can't forget about the baby boomers. They're still hanging in. Those are our parents.
Yeah.
And we've got, obviously, the millennials, which is also called Generation Y, and Generation Z. So we got a lot on the table today.
Yeah. I guess we were part of the baby boom generation, right?
No, we're the Gen Xers.
We're the Generation X?
Yes. We're the forgotten generation, actually, us, and there's the Zennials, because we have a couple people who brought up to my attention, that is right after us, 1977, are the Zennials. Were you born in 77?
I'm born in 77.
So you're a Zennial and an Xer.
Yeah, I'm special.
You are. You're short bus.
Short bus short. I don't know, I don't even look at it like in the terms. I just be like, listen, in my generation, we did this. I hate to give it a title.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just a huge gap. Just talking to the athletes we have now, and I hate to sound like our parents, but our parents always said, well, in my day, we did this. And it was like, whatever, you're in my day. But like in our day, we did this. And it drives me insane now that it's like, I don't know, it's like the generational gap is huge.
It is. It's ever widening.
Yeah, and it's like we took certain things and our kids take it to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
I know, for instance, sagging pants.
Well, that started actually in the 90s.
Yes, but I feel bad because we kind of started that. But I don't know, it's like we had to sag our pants a little, and it wasn't like showing our underwear. We had to pull them down just a little bit off our waist because they were so tight. But now they make jeans baggy. You can get any type of Levi jeans you want to get.
Yes.
You can get them tight fitting.
They're almost like hammer pants.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like they took everything we started and took it to a whole nother level.
Some good, some bad.
Some good, some bad. You're right. I mean, I'm to the point now. I'm screaming every time I hear rap music. I'm like, what is this I'm listening to?
Yeah, well, and again, it's like you said that I think every generation does tend to, when you get more mature and you get older, you say, well, it wasn't like that in my day. You know, so there is that separate argument, and I've been called out by my kids saying, gosh, you sound old, Dad. You know, you sound like our granddaddy or Nana when you talk like that. I'm like, well, okay, I can see how I do. I said, but I explained to the kids why I think that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to sound like an old geezer and that I'm being narrow-minded. I want to be open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good that we have differences because you don't want every generation to be the same.
Definitely. And
that was kind of the couple of things I wanted us to delve in today. And I actually thought about this morning. I do a lot of my thinking in the shower. I really, really do. I do some of my best thinking, and I'm just zoning out. And I'm like, you know what? I wonder what the deal is with Generation Z and even the millennials that came right after us with the mental illness.
Ooh.
Because we've talked about this before, where we've got kids right here in Bay County, which I posted this the other day, that we've got close to 200 kids in Bay County in the last 13 months that have been Baker acted.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that is because of what happened with Hurricane Michael, but I think you could remove that and we still would have that issue. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as bad. So there's that, but also, why are kids thinking that they're so hopeless now? Why are they so sad? Why is it almost, and I hate to say this word, but there's another word, trendy, to want to end your life?
Yeah, I think it goes back a lot to the mental illness. We have become, and I know this is going to be kind of controversial, but we have become a society that everything is a mental illness. A lot of things are not a mental illness. A lot of people, a lot of kids, you just need a good old-fashioned spanking or something.
Yeah.
Because I swear, when I was a kid, I told everybody, I say all the time, I said, I swear I had ADHD. I could not sit down. I couldn't do what I was supposed to do. I couldn't focus.
Right.
But my grandmother had this hand that helped me all the time get it right. I didn't need any medicine. I didn't need anything. Because I was like, all right, I messed up. I know what my consequences is.
Mm-hmm.
We are not teaching consequences anymore. Unfortunately. And a lot of people, when you listen to my generation, our generation, they felt like getting a spanking was wrong.
Right.
Or they felt like their parents was wrong. They think it was some old slavery stuff that they did way back in the days, and we should be able to talk to our kids now.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, our kids got to learn consequences for your actions.
Right.
I mean, they'll cuss at the teacher. They'll do this. They'll do that, and there's no consequences for it. Oh, I get a couple of days out of school. I want to be out of school anyway,
right,
so I can play Fortnite.
Exactly.
Or so I can do this. If you're going to put them on punishment, put them on punishment for real. I don't know why we play with punishment like it's. I feel so bad for taking her phone.
It's a veiled threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel bad for punishing my kids. I love them. I love them. That's why I punish them. That's why you're on punishment, or you'll get in trouble with me. My kids know consequences for their actions.
Absolutely.
A lot of kids don't know consequences for their actions. Now, somebody with mental illness, you can also teach them the same thing. But I believe we have become a society where, not necessarily the government, but like parents are scared to be parents in fear of
state governments. That's the reason for that.
Yeah, in fear of people calling DCF on them.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, like no parent wants to go through that, and that was a real thing back when we was growing up. I remember watching the child abuse videos in class and all of this. If you get a spanking, this is child abuse. You need to go tell. You need to tell.
Right.
And I'm like, why would I want to tell my mom? Why would I want to tell my grandma?
Well, and they started terming it corporal punishment.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking a penal system term and you're using it at home.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, man. That's the thing. The problem is our generation, the Xers, actually have to take some of the blame for the kids being soft.
Yes, we do.
And I know you and I sitting at this table, we did spank. And now, did I get rough with it? No. I would pick and choose what was a spankable offense.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
And again, that's a subject all its own. You know, Debbie just said she was spanked in school. Now, I didn't have that in my school.
I did.
That is a district to district thing that they get to rule on,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that's been out of school since the late '80s, maybe the early '90s. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's still, I think, in place, but they don't do it.
Well,
you could deal with a parent.
You couldn't get away with it now. You'd be thrown in jail in a New York second. But I'm glad you brought up the discipline part, because now we as parents really have to think this out, do we not? Like, we really have to think out, okay, what is the thing that is going to make my kid feel the most disappointed in themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you reach a child, even a young adult, is the disappointment.
Yeah.
Now, I learned that technique as a kid. I remember putting that back, because if I'm somebody and I notice something, I'm like, I may need this one day.
Mm-hmm.
I watched my parents in case I was ever going to be a parent.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, so if I disappoint my parents, that's when they're really upset with me. If they yell at me, they're not really that upset with me. That's just anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I was able to differentiate that, but I use that. You guys don't use this against me. I use that against the kids, but and against students too. That works.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much against, like you said, you love your kids, so you're trying to uplift them with what you say to them and what you implement in your disciplinary system.
Yes.
And I would tell my students too, I'd say, you know what, dude, I'm not so much angry at you as I am disappointed. Yes. Because I tell you the same thing probably 3 or 4 times a week, and now you're making a choice not to implement what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes.
So disappointment is what it is, because you don't hear anger. Kids tune you out. If you're always bam, 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 if you're just clanging and yelling, they tune you out. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with your childhood you went through, with the loudness and the violence, you got like an armadillo shell, and you were like, this ain't going to bother me anymore. You got to come with something else.
Yeah.
If you yell at a kid, they tune it out. But if you say, you know what, dude, I'm really disappointed in you, and you tell them why, boy, that hurts them.
Yeah, I know it hurts my kids. My daughters. For me to say I'm disappointed in them, it can ruin their day, because they're like, okay, here comes this lecture now, and I don't want to make him. Last thing I want to do is make him disappointed, because I can get anything I want out of my dad as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The moment you don't do that or don't follow those rules, and I tell you, hey, listen, I'm really disappointed. And my kids hate to hear me yell, like, because I'm so loud, I'm laughing all the time, and I'm always cracking jokes with them. But when they know my voice hits another switch, they're like, oh crap,
yep,
here it comes. And, some of my daughters, they would instantly start crying, and that's not even me yelling. It's just that, I'm disappointed, right?
Right.
Like, I told you to do X, Y, Z, and you didn't do that, and all you had to do was this. I'm so disappointed in you, and that disappointment gets me a long ways. My kids to the point I don't have to touch them now. I don't have to do any of those things. I mean, my daughters are older. Janae's 12 and 19 and 24 and 25.
Yeah, you're beyond the corporal punishment stuff.
I'm beyond them days now. But kids these days do not fear their parents. Now, I wasn't the greatest kid in the world, but I would never curse around an adult.
No.
Period.
No.
Like, I was amongst my friends, we'll talk crap to each other, but I don't care. Whatever adult came around us, everything changed. It was none of those words. I mean, you can be in the classroom now and hear curse words.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing the words you hear on the football field, the basketball court. These things are allowed, and a lot of coaches have been scared to discipline for fear of kids quitting on them. They need this discipline. People laughed at me the other day. They didn't laugh at me. Everybody thought it was serious. I really want to start a school. And this school is going to be about discipline. I mean, the boys, you're going to come to school with a tie on.
Okay, yeah. So
a khaki. I'm dead.
You're going old school now.
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Grooming. You can have your little wacky haircut, a little nappy, but it will be groomed. You will have the edge. You will look to par. And then we're going to teach you how to act out in this world, out in this society. I'm for schools that don't let you act the way you want to act.
Right.
Listen. You got
stay in balance.
You got a behavior problem. You come to my school. We're going to fix that behavior problem. But in the same sense, I need parent support. Don't bring your child up to school. I want to have if you don't want your child disciplined.
Right.
I mean, that's not spanking them. Or I'm not even trying to suspend them out of school. But there are going to be consequences for actions. We've got to teach our kids how to behave, how to act. If you do ever get pulled over by the police, this is a conversation that's had in, like, I don't know, every household, by every black household. We have to instruct our kids on how to carry themselves. Don't do this. Don't say that. This could get you in trouble. Try to keep the situation down. A lot of people are not taught that. And if you are a hothead and you want to yell and scream and curse and act crazy with the police, those things can have bad consequences on you. But if you carry yourself a certain way in certain situations, it's not all the way. But if you know how to carry yourself and conduct yourself, you can save yourself a lot of trouble.
I think for everything you just said, that's a big reason why, and I'm not trying to blow us up right now with our ego, that's why we're missed right now as teachers. That was something that we would hear in the hallway a lot, even from the kids that would drive us crazy. They'd come back to us, they'd give us a knuckle pound, or they'd want a hug, because they respected us, dude.
Even being hard on them, they respected us.
Yes, because they needed it.
I remember going off on a football player, because his mom was in the locker room with us, and she was telling him to do something. And he was like, "What do you mean, Mom?" And he just started yelling at her. And I was like, nah. I said, "You finna fix this right now." I said, "Don't you ever in your life talk to your mom that way."
Right.
Period. In front of me. I said, "Man, I will take you out to the field right now, and we will have a full day of OTIs." But that woman right there gave you life, brought you into this world, and you don't ever disrespect her.
No.
His mom's eyes got bigger. She was like, "Oh my God." He was like, "Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, Mom." And she was like, "My son said he was sorry." I was like, "You have got to set the boundaries. I will not allow you as a player, as one of my students, to disrespect your parents."
You were probably the first one to say that to him.
Yes. I seen him, I think this is his senior year. And he said, "Coach, listen, I don't even try my mom to this day because of how you got on me." And I don't know how, as a father, you let your son talk to your wife harshly. I don't get that.
I don't either. And that's something, I make that my personal goal and mission when the boys are here. I do stay on them a lot. I do give them their distance to see if they've implemented what I've told them to do. But I do find myself repeating the same things, and I'm starting to change where I don't sound drill sergeant anymore. I've stopped yelling. And that's a big thing for me, where I was very militaristic. That's the way I was raised. I've stopped yelling. I've stopped raising my voice. I'm firm, and I'm like, look, this is just the way of the world. You know, like if I go and pay good money for you to get a good haircut, then Dad can go in there and do your hair before going to school.
Amen.
Yeah, don't wake up with it in front of your face or puffy. I'm like, the way you come out of the barbershop should be the way that you look every day you go to school.
Yes.
And look at your collar. Are you buttoning it up? Are you straightening up? Look at your belt. How are you looking? Like, get your clothes out the night before. I mean, there's a list of 35, 40 different things that as a male, that why aren't you looking at that? I'm like, do you think somebody's going to want, like, does a girl want to kiss you if you don't brush your teeth or if you're not chewing gum? I mean,
you're right.
Or even one of your guy friends, are they going to get in your bubble?
Yeah.
If you start laughing and they smell dumpster mouth,
oh my
you know? So, I mean, it's a thing that I've had to go back in my memory bank and say, what was I doing? And what can I give to these boys to help them get an edge in life? Because that's something, again, bringing it full circle with the generational thing. The kids right now, grooming and hygiene really isn't a thing with them. They, for more or less, roll out of bed, look wrinkled, don't do anything with their hair. They're not smelling good, which was something I pounded on in my classroom. I would not embarrass a kid, but I would go, somebody needs some help today. And I'd look around the room and I'd say, take care of it. I said, because it is offensive to me and everybody around you that someone in here brought that in here. Now, if you need help with it, let me know in private. I will help you. I'm not trying to embarrass you. But at the same time, sometimes that does help kids if you do call them out. And again, constructive criticism. Boy, this is a big term. This generation doesn't know how to handle that either. And again, I'm not going to be pounding anybody over the head, but it's just a matter of constructive criticism for me. I need that in my life. You need that in your life. That makes us better men. Even around the house, if I don't clean something good enough, Demi might say, okay, well, let me help you with that. She said, she joked this morning, hey, I'm trying to make you a better man. I'm like, you do every day. And I'm open to that. You know, we should be trying to get better every day. But a lot of these kids, okay, Kevin Durant. Love the guy as a player. Oh my gosh, he's a genius. But dude, he cannot take anybody saying anything bad about him. He's a millennial. Okay, so these are all a whole bunch of different issues. And again, okay, so I've got a little section right here. If you don't, I'm gonna call these out one at a time.
All right.
So it's kind of like a game show thing. So don't think about it. I just want you to react. Let's have some fun with this. If I say, now keep all the generations in mind. Let's do this for everybody playing at home. Let's do this. So the silent generation is considered ages 74 to 91. Okay, we still have them. Those are our grandfathers and grandmothers. We're still lucky enough to have them. The baby boomers, ages 55 to 73, which those are our parents. Generation X, boom, right here, that's us, that's also you, and you're also a zennial, as we said. So 39 to 54, we got the millennials, aka Generation Y, which are ages 23 to 38, and then you've got Generation Z right now, ages 7 to 22. So, we're talking about 5 generations here.
Wow.
Now, what I want you to try to do is, when I say these terms, go to the first one that you think of.
All right.
Does that make sense?
All right.
Okay, let's go. Let's do this. Work ethic.
Work ethic. Oh, man.
Don't think too long. Don't think too long.
I want to say that's like
Tell me your strongest and weakest when I say work ethic. Which generation's strongest and weakest?
I want to say the oldest generation is the strongest when it comes to work ethic.
I agree.
This last generation is probably going to, I won't say they're going to be the weakest. I would say they're the smartest in that because they can create an app.
Exactly. That's good.
Change their life, but the generation that I'm coaching right now, I would definitely say work ethic wise, they're one of the weakest. Okay,
that's fair. All right, next one. And this one's sense of entitlement.
Oh man, that is not our generation.
No, it's not. It's not. So who? I think we know the weakest one on this this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I can interject, I think it's a tie between millennials and Generation Z.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I look at some politicians right now, and they have a sense of entitlement. I'm like, man, you didn't work hard at all.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's bad.
It's everywhere.
It's bad. That sense of entitlement doesn't get you anywhere, and we dealt with it a lot with our students. And it was amazing how we broke them down from that sense of entitlement, because in Coach Ty's classroom, everybody is equal.
Yes.
I don't care what mom and dad got in my classroom.
Yes.
You're going to do this. You can't pay for a grade. You can't do it. So that sense of entitlement is real. That's a touchy one there.
Strongest and weakest on this one: mental, emotional, physical toughness.
I think our generation is definitely. Oh man.
Nah, see, it's fun. That's good.
I want to say our generation is like the strongest when it comes to mental, but I think about what our grandparents went through before us, not our parents, our grandparents. Our parents kind of caught like the butt end of the stuff that was phasing on out with the world, the early 70s and 60s. The world was changing. And but our grandparents, I think about my great grandparents and all the stuff that they went through, and it played a part on how they taught me. And you know, my grandfather had went through a lot of racism.
Yes.
My grandmother seen a lot of racism, and she would never let me hold my head down.
Right.
She said, you know, back in the days, and I hate, it's not a black and white thing, but I'm just telling you what I was raised. A black man always had to hold his head down, couldn't look a white person in the eye.
Being ashamed.
Yeah. So she told me, you hold your head up, always look a man in the eye, just remember those things. That different teaching. And you know, they went through what they went through, so I didn't have to go through it.
Right.
And it's like now our young, they don't understand the struggle. They don't understand what we had to do. And your kids don't understand what you had to go through as a child. And that's just us being fathers. We're like, all right, I'm not going to allow my kids to experience this. And I tell people I went through it so you don't have to go through it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. I mean, I think for mental, emotional, physical toughness, I think the research shows, and this is not bashing on generation, the research shows that, again, the mental, I don't want to say weaknesses, but I do want to say mental illness right now is off the charts. The research is there to prove it. That's not me making it up. What we're trying to find out is why. And I think that could actually be a show all to itself, is why is it that the generation that seemingly has everything, we've talked about this as parents, we probably give our kids way too much. Exactly. We are making them live above their means, and that's our fault. Yep. Because we love our kids, we have that thing where we do spoil them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say, it's okay to spoil your kids. I'm the first one to say, you know what? You're not wrong, but it's got to have boundaries. You've got to have limits. Don't give them something as a reward for something they should already do. Exactly. You know, and I know that's come up in this house a lot, where I come off as being very hardcore and demanding probably too much. But if a kid says, hey, I took out the trash, and it's like, and I'm like, cool, thank you, move on.
Good job.
Yeah. You know, you'll always get a thank you from me.
Yeah, like, why am I going to reward you for something you're supposed to be doing?
Exactly. Because, and I've told them, hey, and this is the boys and the girls, look, I'll be the first one to notice if you show initiative. If I don't have to ask you to do something, and I notice you and I see you taking out the bathroom trash, or taking out the kitchen trash, or doing the dishes, taking the dog out as soon as we get home. Yeah. There's a myriad of things that you can do to help in the house. Exactly. If I see you doing something, I'll be quiet about it, and I'll take you aside. You know what? I really appreciate what you did. I might throw you a few dollars of cash. I may go get you a gift card or something like that. Exactly. That's another value system that we in our generation, because as Xers, we still had a lot of the values of the baby boomers, and that we got those from our parents. Yeah. I think that our generation has a lot of value that is underappreciated. Yeah. And we are a forgotten generation a lot, because people don't talk about us. You always hear millennial this, baby boomer, Generation Z. What about us? Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, the millennials are living off of Generation X. Everything that we did is popular to them.
It came to them on a silver platter.
But like the way they dress, the way they talk, the shoes they wear.
Go to Target and see what the clothes are.
Yeah, everything is retro.
Yes.
And it's back from the 90s. And they're like, man, the 90s have got to be the best time in the world. That's all they talk about is the 90s. I was like, yeah, the 90s was great. I mean, you think about the music, you think about the times we were living in. I had an interesting conversation with one of my peers this week, and we were just talking about new athletes and students and what's going on in the school system. And I told him, I was like, I have a huge level of disappointment when it comes to how our students are being treated, how they're being taught now. And I was like, I understand a lot of it is the teachers don't make a lot of money. Let's put that on.
Oh yeah.
What teachers make is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I always joke, before I got a degree, I made way more money working at Buffalo Rock Test.
Right.
Now that I got 3 degrees, I make
that's the irony.
I make like $20,000 less.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no money in being a teacher. But let's look at it. I can go through a long list of teachers that I had at Rutherford who cared the heck about me.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't care. I mean, teachers were more respected, I think, back in the 90s. I miss this guy to death. He was one of my football coaches, but he's also my teacher who taught me how to go to a job interview.
Yes.
Coach Nethro was one of the best teachers I had. He was so firm, but he was dead on with everything he said. He would come out to our job. It would be 8 o'clock at night. I know he's not getting paid. And I just want to see if he was working. How you doing? And he's the reason why I became a manager at my job at like 16 years old. But when I say cared about me, when you go to a job interview, this is how you carry yourself. This is how you conduct yourself. Then we had another teacher, Mr. Dennis. He taught Black history at Rutherford.
Mm-hmm.
And the importance of learning who you are as a Black man back then was extremely important.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't know what the struggle was and what you came from, you don't know how to appreciate life now. Like, man, I can actually walk and I can actually use this same restroom. I can actually use this water fountain. It was so many teachers that had a great influence on me in life.
Mm-hmm.
Just at Rutherford High School, and I can go back to Rosenwald, and it'll get deeper than that. But the teachers cared enough to discipline me. And the thing was, my grandmother, if you called my house as a teacher, and you said Ty was doing this,
then you did it.
I did it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no question about it.
Right.
I didn't get a chance to call and say, Grandma, she lying on me, I don't know why. She hating on me.
Yeah.
No.
Mm.
If an adult called the house, you did it, and that's your behind. Because she told me, you hadn't earned your last name, Ty. You hadn't earned this. It was given to you.
Right.
What are you going to do? And now you're out here in the community, and you're disrespecting my name because you're getting in trouble.
Yes.
There was a level of accountability that's not there anymore. We will tend to believe our children before we believe anything. And I love my girls to death, but I don't put anything past my kids. I know them, but everybody swears they know their kid, but there's a different kid when it comes to school.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, all kids act different. That's why I showed them a psychology video of people wearing a mask at school. Interesting. They was like, why do they have this mask on? And then people would go to a crowd, they would take that mask off and have a mask on with the crowd that they was hanging with. So when they get to school, they'll put a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
None of our kids are who they are at school. They're not the same person at home. They're totally different from that.
They are.
And the moment you start accepting that as a parent and start looking like, okay, so how can I teach my kid to be right in wrong situations? How can I teach my kid to be a light in dark situations? A lot of parents haven't figured that out. So it's so easy to blame the teacher. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to say that the teacher sucks and this and that. Now let's go back to the school system. I know I'm talking. Let's go back to the
You need a pulpit, man. Be careful now.
Yeah, the school system has enabled a lot of our children. They don't want to instill that discipline.
Right.
It's more or less, let's hurry up and get them graduated and get out of here. I don't want to deal with this. And then my bonus is decided on them passing the test.
Yes.
The teacher's bonuses shouldn't be tied up into that because some kids just don't learn as well as the others. And teachers are not allowed the one-on-one time to teach. And now everybody wants to be a tutor and everybody wants to do that to make a little change. But are you qualified to do those things?
Right.
We got a lot of people teaching our kids that are not qualified to do that. And then the state of Florida says, you know what? I'm going to make it so hard for the right teachers again. I'm going to give this test that nobody in Congress
You and I for hell with that. Yeah.
Let me tell you, just straight up, a lot of people that can pass that test, and no disrespect to them, just aren't very good teachers. They're like, you gotta be like super nerdy. Some of them are. But some of them, we see them like, man, this teacher has no personality, no will to actually just teach. It's just a job for them with great hours. I'm off in the summer, I'm off in the spring, and that's how they look at it. But when it doesn't just become your job and it becomes your life, and you want to impact young lives, that's the teachers that we need. I don't care what degree they got. If you want to impact a young life, that's the teacher I want teaching my kids.
I agree with everything you said, man, because you and I lived it. You know, that's the thing. We lived it, and we could easily do 2 hours on the things that we'd like to change in the school system and why we left. You know, I mean, I do get that from some parents of kids that I taught and coached, and they'll say, you know, he misses you, she misses you, or why weren't you hired here to be a coach? And I stay humble, and I just put my hands up. I said, you know what, I'm doing better now. You know, I had to leave to get more money, less stress, and a better schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would hope people would applaud me for that. You know, I always root for people to lift themselves up. You know, I don't look at it as being selfish and leaving the kids behind. I was becoming less of a person. I was running myself into the ground. Yeah. Exactly. So how am I going to do well for your kid if I'm coming in damaged every day?
Exactly.
I was.
I mean, and we all to that point. I had a lot of people mad at me, like, why would you leave this school, Ty? Why would you leave? And you gotta sit back and ask yourself, why would I stay?
Yeah, like, that's the question.
Do you know what really happened? Do you know what went on behind the scenes? Do you know this? Do you know that? And I'm never gonna bash that school. That's just not who I am.
Right.
But the thing is, when you wrong me, when you do me wrong, that's on you. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here and bash you and talk about the situation, because I probably would have stayed many more years. But I'm this person. I feel like God has blessed me with this gift, and I need to give my gift to the youth. My grandmother took me at almost 60 years old and said, I'm about to raise this boy and to be a man, and she poured so much into me, and had she not done that, I don't know where Ty Steele would be today. I don't know, I truly can't, I don't know where I would be. And so when you take a person like me and a person like you, who we have a true heart for these kids, and you take them out of a situation, I mean, that really hurts, because I love those children. And I probably would have sat there a million years just being hurt. But when you know who you are, and you know whose you are, and you have this gift, you've got to give that gift. So I don't know what the future holds, but I just know right now there's a lot of stuff in all the school systems that need to be fixed. We got to stop being scared to discipline our kids.
Well, and that goes full circle to what we were talking about before. We left off with mental, emotional, physical toughness. How do the generations compare? So the next one I got for you is common sense.
Oh, my gosh. And what is my daughter's generation? She's 19. What is her generation?
Oh, she's a millennial.
Okay.
No, she's not. I'm sorry. She's Z, so she's right now.
All right, so listen. My daughter, I love her. I love her to death. And she's not old today.
There's a butt coming.
But you talking about straight A's, 4.0 student, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to common sense, she just throws it out the window.
That's usually the way it is.
And I'm like, my gosh, baby, please, just a little bit of common sense. Great person, great kid, I love her to death, but just common sense, I can hear Janaea all the time saying, after I tell her something, she says, oh yeah. I'm like,
yeah, and I get called mean around here a lot because I use sarcasm both as a teaching tool and as a weapon.
Yeah.
I've told you, I'm a Jedi Knight at it. And so I sometimes I teach lessons with sarcasm, and I get called mean around the house all the time. I'm like, first of all, you don't know what mean is.
Yeah.
And second of all, I'm trying to teach you that just because, look, you're really, really smart.
Yeah.
But understand that common sense is a tool that you need in life. And if the color on the wall is black, then it's black. There's no overthinking that. That's a part of common sense. And that's a part of common sense also is saying and admitting if you're wrong. If you're wrong, you'll get respect for that. If you're right, don't gloat over it.
Yeah.
Show some humility.
Yeah, you definitely got to show it. I mean, it goes back to even how that generation, my daughter's generation, they treat their relationships. And like, you know, this person you're dating is poison. Like, you know this. But just common sense won't allow you to see that. And a lot of people get caught up into, well, I can make this person better. I can, like, common sense. But that's why it's important, too, for fathers to be in their girls' life. It's important for fathers to be in these young men's lives.
Absolutely.
So you can teach them the correct way. So you can teach them how to do the right thing. A lot of people are not caught up in just doing the right thing, and they just go about this, just do what's right. And it hurts me. That
choose the harder right than the easier wrong.
Yes, exactly. They rather take what's like, this is so easy when I do this and I do that, and it's always a shortcut. I call my daughters and I say, y'all are the microwave generation. Y'all just want it so easy and you want it right now. And I'm like, I'm kind of like that too, but I don't want it easy.
Oh, I gotta say, in fairness, I think that's every generation's problem. When you're a kid, you want the easy way.
Yeah.
I think now the difference comes in where you're allowed to get away with that.
Oh,
now, the silent generation, the baby boomers, heck no, were they allowed to get away with doing it easy. I think it probably started in ours somewhere along the line when we were teenagers getting ready to graduate. Is when kids started getting a little bit more leniency. Then we became parents, and then we got a little too soft, and then we got confused with when do I discipline, how do I discipline? And again, I'm not talking about me and you, I'm talking about our generation. I've seen a lot of people I'm in contact with on Facebook who I graduated with. I'm like, yeah, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I think about each generation, like the epidemic they had. Our parents is getting over segregation. Schools being segregated. My mother-in-law always talked about how she wanted to graduate from Rosenwald, but she was forced to go to Bay High.
Right.
Then I think about my generation. That was the crack epidemic. That got like crazy, and unfortunately, it messed us up with a lot of our parents. I felt cheated when it came to me and my mom because of that epidemic. Now you look at this generation, and drugs are made to be out to be a good thing now. And listen, medical marijuana, I'm all for it, I understand it. But if you are an athlete, a young high school athlete, there's no way you should be smoking weed. There's no way. And you can't go out high and play a game.
Yes.
And listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you I never smoked weed. That's a lie. But I never smoked weed and said, you know what? Let me go play basketball now. Let me go play football. I've never done those things because football was that important to me. But people don't know that I could never get addicted to anything because I was scared to be like my parents. I didn't want to drink alcohol. I didn't want to do drugs. I didn't want to do any of those things because I wanted to be the total opposite of my parents. But my mom is like one of the strongest persons I know. My dad has the greatest heart ever. And I was like, I don't want to be nothing like my but I have those great abilities. It's kind of like the blade. I want all the strengths and none of the weaknesses because I didn't want to have that. But we make marijuana out to be like the greatest thing in the world. And I think it's different now because you got different types of marijuana. Listen, I don't want to smoke anything called gas.
Oh my God. That's a subject that I think we need to talk about because it fascinates me. It really did.
But you think about it, it's that epidemic going on and the meth epidemic that's going on.
And that's been happening for a while.
And the opioids and everything, and the painkillers and the mental illness medicine that they need to take now. All of these different things are going on and they are hindering a lot of people. So
that subject right there is a good one. And we need to stick that in the memory bank and do that one soon because it's real time, it's current, and gosh, you said a lot of awesome things that I get sucked right into. What's going on right now, especially with the NFL. I'll use just a quick example and then we'll move on. But there was a Dallas Cowboy, I can't remember his name, but he left. He retired because he said, look, I need, because of the pain that I'm in, and because I don't want to be addicted to opiates, I don't want to take anything else, I need to use marijuana as my pain reliever. And when I read that article, it really, really opened my mind up to an avenue that I hadn't thought about. Well, and I compared myself because I have chronic pain and I struggle every day. And I have so many thoughts every day of, like we said, taking the easy way out and doing too many ibuprofen or doing too many Tylenol, which kill your liver.
Exactly.
I have no idea how my liver is. I'm pretty sure it's not good. I have been living in chronic pain for 13 years now. And I have used what is it called, Oxycontin, and I got off of that immediately because of the way it made me feel.
Yes.
I've been on Darvocet. It works, but I stay away from it. And I put a smirk on my face. I stay away from it because it works really, really well.
Yeah.
And Dave would go to that probably 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Because it makes me happy. I'm the funniest guy in the room.
Yeah.
You want to be around me, and I'm not in pain. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
But what the Dallas Cowboys said was interesting. I don't want to be that guy, depending on a pink pill every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you get a rule instated to show, okay, this is my proof for my pain level, this is what I can take and what I cannot. Will you allow me to do this so I can have my career?
Yep.
That's a subject that the NFL needs to look at in professional sports as a whole. Because they're all different. It's just like every state governs differently. Mm-hmm. Every sport has a different pain level. And football, without a doubt, football and MMA are the most painful sports out there.
Exactly.
And you're expecting these guys, which again, it's their choice to play. And this is a subject I want to talk about some other time. But this is their chosen career field. They're the best in the world to do it. But yet we pay for all these packages to watch them on TV. We buy the tickets. We buy the merchandise. And we are demanding like we're in the old Coliseum and back in the days. And we want our Warriors to fight. We don't want them to complain. But in the first 2 games this year, dude, we lost half of our starting quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Half of our starting quarterbacks in week 2. Now we've got a skeleton crew of guys out there. Might as well be replacement players. And what are they dealing with right now? They're dealing with real pain. They're dealing with trainers who are paid by the team saying, dude, I get paid a lot of money to get you back out on the field. If you don't get back out there, I'm going to get fired. Yeah. So I don't care what you got to do. I don't care if you got a concussion. Get your weak butt out there.
Yeah.
This is a problem. Sorry, I digress.
I mean, it's definitely a problem. I think, like I said, for medical purposes, I understand.
Yeah.
But when I see young athletes right now just throwing their life away, I swear, I tell them the story all the time. I see some of the greatest athletes ever in Panama City history on the corner somewhere chilling right now.
Yep. And that's every city in America.
Big, out of shape, used to be the best athlete in the world because they wanted to put stuff in their body at an early age that did not belong.
Right.
And as a parent, I don't understand. Like, I know what marijuana smells like. If anybody in my house comes home smelling like marijuana,
it's on.
Yes,
it's on.
It's definitely a problem because I'm a pit bull. But like I said, I'm a nosy parent. Mm-hmm. I just don't give you a phone and tell you to go play with it.
Right.
I don't do that. You need to come out, get off the phone, let's talk. Mm-hmm. What you doing? How was your day? What's going on in life? Mm-hmm. Listen, Janelle will not allow me not to go a day without talking to her. She has to tell me everything.
She loves to talk.
She loves to talk.
That's good.
So, but I mean, as parents, we have gotten to the point where we have given our kids pacifiers. It's amazing. We want them off the pacifier as babies, but we give them pacifiers as they get older and say, "Hey, go play, go get on Fortnite, go play a video game, just stay out my hair, and I can do what I want to do." We've got to stop being that. I love the generation before us. Like my generation, I think it starts slacking off. But my grandmother, when they raised me, you had to be at the dinner table at a certain time to eat. Everybody was there at 6 o'clock. We sit down and eat dinner together. There was no television on. We talked, we laughed, talked about our day.
That was family time.
Yeah, it was definitely family time. Now family time is a family vacation or a trip out to Pier Park.
You have to plan it.
Yeah, or a trip to this. Family time should be every day where we're sitting down, where we're playing some type of game, where we're interacting with each other. Mm-hmm. A lot of us don't know our children. So when they get a report from a teacher, they're like, "Nah, not my child. My child is so happy, outgoing, and do this every day." That's really not who your kid is.
Yeah.
And the video games a lot of times have their mind warped and everything else they're involved in because this person smokes weed and it's cool. I'm going to do the same thing. You know, listen, my grandmother investigated my friends.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, my friends, well, who are you? Yeah, what's your name? Okay, who's your parents? What church y'all go to? What do you do? What do you believe in? And all my friends that actually loved my grandmother. I put a picture up yesterday of me and her, I think when I was like 4 years old. And all my friends was like, "Man, that's my baby." Like everybody loved my grandmother. My grandmother was like everybody's grandmother when you came to the house. As when I went to go stay the night with somebody else, I became their child. So I could get disciplined at such and such house. But she didn't allow me to go stay the night nowhere. But if I was over there visiting, I became their child.
Right.
And that we got to go back to where we all police each other's kids. You shouldn't allow your kid to cuss an adult out or say anything to an adult or do all. I don't care what the situation is, you gotta teach respect.
The closest thing we have to that anymore is if you're close with your parents of the kids that you're teaching and coaching.
Exactly.
And if we can keep that a healthy thing, then we can hold on to that and pass that on to the next generation. But that's really all we had left. And I've seen that where I am now at Mosley. I appreciate that where us as a coaching staff, we not only hold each other accountable, we communicate very well. We know where we are, if we're going to be at practice at a certain time. And all these guys that we're getting ready to coach in this next season, which I'm so excited about, got a good group of kids, good group of boys, where they do respect what they're doing. They are hungry, and that means that I've got some good parents that I'm dealing with at home. That gives me a lot of encouragement to know that most of these boys are coming to the gym with good intentions. They want to make themselves better. They want to win. They respect their coaches, and we're going to go to a good place.
You know, the greatest part about the coaching staff you're on, everybody on the coaching staff is a man. Everybody on that coaching staff is secure in their own manhood. They're not worried about nobody else trying to take their job or do anything.
I'm happy with my role.
Listen, I told you I've learned how to be the best coach I can be by being on some of the worst coaching staffs in the world. And you just sit there and you deal with it. And people are jealous of you just because of your namesake, just because of who you are, just because you'll take the time out to go talk to the kid and everybody throws away. As a coach, you shouldn't throw a kid away.
No.
I mean, they made the cut on your team for a reason.
Yeah.
There's something there that can be taught.
Well,
it may not be there here.
And we're getting ready, tomorrow and the next day, Monday, Tuesday are tryouts, and these are, I remember being that kid, being nervous. And so I understand what's on the line for some of these kids, and we're going to have to let go probably about 4 or 5 of them because our numbers are high and we have some tough decisions to make. But I told them the other day, I think it was an open gym last weekend, I held them up. I said, you know what, y'all, you're having the time of your life right now. And I looked them all dead in the face, and I know that didn't really sink in for a second. I said, but man, what I would give to be out here doing what you're doing right now and getting ready to have this season, I said, I would give it all up. I said, so look next to your brothers, left and right. You got each other for the next 4 months of your life.
Oh, yeah.
I said, so I can't wait to go on this journey with you. And it just gets me just talking about it, dude, and so.
I just looked and seen one of my former teachers come up, Mama G.
Cool.
Mama G was a great teacher at Rutherford. She taught me leadership and debate. So I got my debating skills from Mama G. I will never forget her. She taught me what Ram pride truly was. She graduated from Bay High, and she was a cheerleader for Bay High. And back then, we had like a Ram. And she told us a story at Pep Rally where they came over and they painted the rim.
Okay.
And I ain't gonna say what happened, but Mama G would always wear the Ram outfit to just show everybody how much Ram pride she had.
Nice.
And I was like, man, you just gotta chill, listen to her talk. So, hey, Mama G, everybody loves Mama G. But it goes back to, like I said, we had those teachers that we truly remember and care about. Kids nowadays, they remember the teachers that they hate, which is probably a majority of them.
Yeah.
And just how disrespectful they come into the classroom. And like I said, their hands are tied with a lot of stuff. I know we can't discipline as much in school, and it's kind of pointless to keep suspending a kid. You're worried about their grades, you're worried about this, you want them to graduate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why do you need to keep suspending them? This one guy this week, he told me something, and I was like, I understood where he was going with it, but I was just saying a majority of the kids you're talking about are not in that situation. They feel like if the kids act up, don't come to school, don't show up for school, or are failing in their grades, to cut some of their welfare off. And I was like, it's just not that geographic that acts up. That geographic that acts up in school it's all kids. I was like, I was at a charter school. A lot of those kids didn't have any of those situations. They was better than anybody.
Yeah.
But they just chose to do what they want to do because they've learned a long time there's no consequences for their actions.
Right.
So it would be hard to take a teacher like me. At first, I had a couple students who hated me.
Yeah.
Who hated me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Can I get out of Coach Ty's class? But in the process of them getting out, they was like, man, this is the best class ever. All I have to do is do what I'm supposed to do. And he's going to hold me accountable for it.
Isn't it amazing?
And then, I had one parent who just went off on me. because I made my sixth graders. I made them write a paper. It was a 500-word essay, and I said I want it written in APA format.
Mm-hmm.
I taught them APA format. And now listen, I wasn't going to grade it like a college paper.
Sure.
I wanted to show them what a college paper looked like.
Sure.
His mom emailed me going off. How dare you do this? So on and so on. And then my daughter stayed up all night doing it. And I gave them the assignment like 3 weeks ago. We was working it on.
She waited till the last minute.
She waited till the last minute. But she didn't know I wasn't going to grade it like it was a college paper.
Took it lightly, yeah.
Yeah, everybody got 100 plus on it. And when she seen her grade, I said, listen, I'm teaching them accountability and responsibility.
Right.
And what the world ahead looks like. It's your job as a parent to allow the teacher to teach, because right now you're not teaching her work ethic. I'm teaching her work ethic. And she was like, bingo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she had tears in her eyes because she felt like she failed as a parent, because, you know, a lot of these kids feel entitled. The parents feel entitled. But we've got to start developing a good work ethic right now. And I don't want to ever hear a teacher say, well, I can't teach this demographic. I can't teach this type of kid. They won't listen. You find a way.
We obviously need to have a show about teaching in America, because we both feel very passionate about this. And I think that's taken us on a different trail today. So that's something we can look forward to. We're actually manifesting show content through the show that we're doing today.
Oh, yeah.
Last thing I wanted to throw at you was the comparisons through the generations is tech savvy. I think this one's pretty obvious.
I got one of my students on here right now saying, hey, those essays help me so much.
They do. And that's the thing. You don't have to know how to write. You know, we're not asking you to wake up and know how to be a good writer. It's simply, can you take a list of directions?
Yeah.
Can you take what I'm giving you as a teacher? Can you put those together and complete the assignment? That's
Exactly.
all you have to do.
I'm trying to get the best I can and get out of the student. And in the process,
Which is your job.
in the process, it shocks the student. They're like, oh
Right.
my gosh. But when you get to high school, when you get to college, I'm like, this is easy. I've been doing this since I was 12.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Life is not plug and play.
Yeah.
And I hate to really minimize it like that, but again, that is something that is a false narrative that is out there, that if you have a plug, like we do right here, then you can take this plug out and you can plug it in something else and it's going to melt. Well, no, if I take this right here and I try to stick this in the wall, I'm going to jack myself up with electricity because it doesn't freaking fit.
Oh, yeah.
So we have rules generation to generation for a reason. I tell these kids all the time, at least once a week, I say, dude or sweetie, the rule is there because somebody messed up.
Yeah.
And so you have to respect that rule so you don't mess up. And there's not a rule to represent your screw up.
Hey, but let's go back on that. And I want to touch on this.
Go ahead.
And a lot of teachers are huge rule followers. Was I always a rule follower? I followed all the rules.
Uh-huh.
But there was always loopholes in the room. This is my classroom.
Sure.
So
Autonomy.
if we bust our behind all week and on Friday, I want to let you have a fun Friday and we will get on our phones and play games. A lot of teachers had problems with me doing that, to the point that the way they went to administration.
You got told on, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, Ty's allowing the kids to do this. And then I said, okay, Mrs. Administrator or Mr. Administrator, this is all the work we've completed this week.
Mm-hmm.
We've completed 4 chapters already that wasn't being able to be due until a month down the line. We've done a month's worth of work.
You were ahead. Yeah.
Always ahead. And I kept pressing out a lot of work. And I said Friday, but it taught them accountability, because the only way we can have a fun Friday is if the whole class participates and do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the word fun day written on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we act up, a letter comes off the board.
Yeah, I remember that when I subbed for you.
If we had any letter left on the board, we would have a fun day on Friday. So what did I do? I made the class police itself. I didn't want to have to yell all day.
Right.
But if I'm like, all right, y'all about to lose a letter, everybody's like, shh, y'all tighten up. What do we got to do?
Yeah.
Stop.
And that's
That's
accountability.
right. It was teaching them accountability.
Yeah.
But in the process, we make all these rules for the school, and we don't give the teachers no leeway. And then you say, okay, well, you know, such and such is doing this, and I hate to bring you in the office, but I got to talk to you because, you realize such and such can't teach.
Right.
I hate to say it, but such and such doesn't have control over the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't figure out why little Johnny is failing their class, but has 100 in my class.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know how to get Johnny to work. you don't understand how to get Johnny to work because they are programmed just to follow this structure, this rule, and that rule.
Robotic,
and a lot of, as I said, a lot of people that can pass that test are not great teachers, unfortunately. But, you know, I just feel like school now, man, look, you need to teach a class on diversity. You need to teach a class on how to be a new teacher, a different teacher.
Oh yeah, because it is like taking a child and growing when you're a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, and you're grooming young people to be better. But if you're always a jerk to them and you're always mean to them, you won't get what you need to fully get out of that kid. And you're only nice when parents come around for parent-teacher
open house.
Don't I do this? Don't I do that? Don't I do this for you? Didn't I tell you that? You are trying to reassure yourself.
Yeah.
But I gave my kids leeway. I gave them opportunities to fail. But I taught them how to work together as a group. No matter your color, no matter what your sex is, I taught them to work together as a group. And a lot of people couldn't understand that.
No, I agree with everything you said. I think we need to do a show about that. Because I'm Porky Picking over here. We need to do a show about that.
My student said, we never missed a Friday. Laugh out loud. No other teacher did that. And it was on point. You
were nicer than me. I got called mean a lot because it was work 5 days a week. I was hardcore. I do want to actually raise up the baby boomer generation, which is again our parents, because of the thing that, dude, our childhood, as far as entertainment, let's have fun on memory lane here for a second. Mm-hmm. Dude, we had the best cartoons. Yes. We had the best music. Yes. We had the best movies. Mm-hmm. We had the best of being able to unplug and be outside all day. We were not consumed with technology. We had the best breakfast cereals, man. I mean, dude, Saturday morning cartoons and getting breakfast and sitting in front of the TV was the best.
Saturday mornings is great.
And the show that came out by Netflix, Stranger Things, I love that show not so much for the content, but for what it shows and how accurate they are to the 80s. And I told my kids, I said, I want you to watch just certain parts of this to show you what my childhood was like. I said, this show gets it right. The clothes are right. Oh, yeah. The music is right. The way they talk is right. Riding around as boys on BMX bikes all day long.
Man, that was great.
Dude, that's where it was at.
Those were the days, right?
You know, and so, but the baby boomers were the ones that did that for us. They were the ones drawing the cool cartoons, designing the clothes, making the music. They made all that happen. So big props to the baby boomer generation for that. Now, as far as where we are now, we've come a long way in some good ways and some bad ways. I will say we've come a lot. First, I'll say the positive. Where I think the millennials and Zs have it right is being better communicators with their emotions.
Yeah.
And I say that delicately because it can go sour. There is too much crying now. Whether you're winning or losing, there's too much crying. But I will say again, to their credit, they are more in touch with their emotions than our generation ever was, and every generation before that. Before us, and also us, it was not okay to show emotion. As a woman too. Yeah. You had to internalize it.
Yeah.
And you only would talk about it with your deepest trusted, maybe one friend. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't share it on social media.
Yeah.
But God forbid that anybody doesn't share their emotions on social media now. They want everybody to know about their trials and tribulations. So, now, the downside.
I don't have an answer for that.
Uh-oh.
Is there something else I can do?
That was serious.
I don't have an answer for it either, Siri. The downside is, what I notice a lot is the generation right now is the looking down generation. Yeah. Let me describe what I mean by that. The looking down is not only lowest self-esteem that we've ever seen, but looking down, literally doing this, walking across the road with a street light.
Yeah.
Now, I actually did one of those ReadWorks packets with my students 2 years ago, and it talked about in Europe they were doing tests, beta tests, of street lights in the ground, dude. Did you ever hear about those?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That scared the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I've got to teach them about this. So I'm doing my part of my curriculum with the reading, and we're going to teach about what is going wrong right now with present culture. I said, okay, let's look at this. You're like, what are they doing? I said, I'm glad you asked. Because red, yellow, and red are on the ground because they're not looking up.
Yeah.
So why did they do that, kids? Well, because people were getting hit by cars. So they already just gave up and they quit. And they said, you know what, we're just going to put lights in the ground because this generation and the one after, they're just not going to look up anyway. They quit. Well, so this is our plea doing this show, that if you're a parent, or even if you have nephews and nieces, if you're not a parent, if you're a grandfather, grandmother, God, do your part. And we're holding ourselves accountable too. Do your part and don't quit on the millennials, on the Zs. Don't quit on them because they're going to raise their generation too. And what is that generation going to be like if we just go, you know what, it's too hard that I keep repeating myself. I just want to give up. Let me just give them the easy way out and let them just see for their own, just parent themselves. No, don't do that, because we're seeing that a lot in the classrooms. We're seeing it on the basketball and football fields. We are seeing it everywhere in entertainment where we have our Generation Xers as parents did quit on their kids. And then the millennials that they kicked out into the world are becoming quitters.
Exactly.
And they're putting their hands out saying, well, hey, mom and dad, you didn't hook me up for my apartment. You didn't give me what I needed. It's not fully furnished. You didn't pay the first month's rent.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was responsible for your first and last month's rent, sweetie.
Yeah.
You got to have a job.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's so much that goes. It's so complicated, and you know, I've been guilty, and I'll point and I'll say, your generation you suck because of this, and you're soft because of that. You know, and they get mad at me. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not backtracking. What I'm trying to say in a gentler way is, not only do we have to do our part, but where we stop, they need to pick up and say, this is where I have to be accountable. Mom and dad stop wiping my behind, because
that's powerful.
Yeah, once I become a young woman or a young man, just like our generation did, the light bulb went off, and we're like, you know what, mom and dad, or mom, or if you just had a single parent, they're doing too much for me, and I got to pick up. And I remember where I was in life. I was a late bloomer. My mom loved me so much. I was the only child that she did too much, but to her credit, she didn't want me to fail. And so I've defended her on. I still defend her today on that. I'm like, you know what? You did so much for me where I didn't learn how to do some things, but I know why you did it. It's because you love me that much that you didn't want me to fall on my face. Well, I've looked at myself as a dad, and I have done too much. I have gone above and beyond because I've given my kids excuses when they've gone through hard times in their life, where I just wanted to let them be a kid, and I have crippled them in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. I think me growing up without mom and dad in the household, and I was speaking to a young man yesterday about this, because he was telling me about how his mom, dad not there, and he's been house to house. And I said, dude, that's like, you know, that is just setting you up to be the best man that you're going to be able to be. I was like, you will be a better father than your father was. You will be a greater this or a greater that. I said, a lot of times those struggles come about to teach us life lessons and who we are supposed to be. And our children will probably want to face that same situation, but because we went through it, they don't have to go through it now. Because we were able to tell them or communicate, this is what dad had to go through. Miss Pickett just said this, which I thought was very interesting. She said, my sons are 24 and 26 now. They played football since they were 5, starting with the Yellow Jackets. I know that's an old team there. Then they went to Jinx, Bay High, Arnold, and one son got a college scholarship in Minnesota. Now I have a 12-year-old girl that's been playing basketball since she was 5. I've always had a household of athletes, and she said, I really appreciate this. You both put a lot of perspective that I've been thinking about but unable to put into words. So, you know,
that's great.
We teach so many life lessons through sports. And I told her, I said, I got a 12-year-old playing basketball too, my little boy. But it's so many life lessons in sports. I know right now it's a big thing to get football pushed. You can't play football until you're in high school. And, and that's because of CTE and all of those different things. And I get it, I understand, but I think you need training before then, but I'm kind of biased to it. I need to really look into it more because CTE is a real thing.
It's terrifying.
It's definitely a real thing. And you start looking at athletes now. I know you told me, you said you think Antonio Brown has some. I was like, he's just a jerk. But but they want him in the NFL right now.
He's crazy.
Russell Wilson was arguing before he signed this guy right now. They want to sign him. But I understand the need and I understand those things. But we teach some of our greatest life lessons through sports. Now we just got to get over it. Everybody gets a participation trophy. Everybody is going to get same or equal playing time.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get over that.
And our generation was responsible for that.
Yeah.
That's what sucks.
I know.
Is that you and I get lumped into that and saying, well, why are you guys getting mad at all the kids getting trophies? You all did it. And I get defensive. I'm like, I didn't do it.
Nah, I definitely didn't do it.
I had parents coming after me. Someone would go, dude, why are you giving my kid a medal? He didn't even play.
Yeah.
And so they'd say that, and I didn't know if they were mad at me. And they'd say, thank you for coaching the way that you do. Then I could breathe and go, okay, but we're not going to have an argument here.
Yeah.
They'd say, no, you were hard on my kid.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that you was hard on Janaea. She's got a coach right now, and she's trying to figure him out. And I said, listen, everybody's not going to be Coach Snell. Everybody's not going to be Coach Ford. I mean, you have different guys. And I told her, I said, have you seen me come to one of your practices? She's like, no. I said, I've done it on purpose. I wanted you to feel like you earned this.
Right.
I don't want to be anywhere. I want you to see how good you are. And this has nothing to do with your dad being a coach.
Right.
And I hadn't even went up and met the guy. I think I met him their last game. I introduced myself and I said, hey, I'm Janae's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to take her? But I didn't want to. I wanted her to earn everything she got.
Absolutely.
I don't want nobody to say, well, that's Ty's kid. That's why she's playing. That's why she's getting playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, me, I'm harder on my kid than I am anybody. Because like I told Snell last year, I was like, listen, I would pull her off the court, take off the court. And he's like, man, you're so harsh. And I'm like, no, I'm that real parent. If my kid is messing up and not getting it, I don't want her out there just because me and you were cool. Don't do that. That's not how it's going to be in life. She's got to learn at an early age, just because your last name is Steele doesn't mean you're going to get this job. It doesn't mean that. Your dad has went through jobs I've interviewed for that I know I should have got the job.
It's no accident, dude, that we run into adults all over town who want to talk to us because we coach their kid.
Yeah.
Or even if we did coach their kid, they respect the way that we coach.
Yeah.
And, you know, every time that happens, that goes, wow, I am appreciated. You know, and that makes me feel really, really good. And I hate to say it validates me. It doesn't validate me, but it does. I guess it's a way of communicating through God and also other people saying, you know what, you're doing the right thing at the right time. And it's a big thank you without saying thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I met a parent, not met a parent, but, excuse me, one of my parents the other day, I told you, just went completely off on me because I refused to go back and take the teaching test. I hadn't told nobody I was done with it. I was like, I'm done. I'm not, this test is stupid. It makes me feel stupid.
Yeah.
I don't want to take this test no more. I mean, people taking it 10, 12 times. I'm in a group on Facebook of everybody that has failed the test, and we're like a support group for each other. And I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm like, it's dumb. And I'm like, all I want to do is coach football. I didn't want to teach a class. I just wanted to coach. But in the process of that, God showed me that you can't be just a football coach. You need to be an educator on the standpoint of, I'm not going to play you if you got F's on your report card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to allow you to be on this team and be a super athlete or be a dummy.
Yeah.
When you go to college, you are a student athlete. You are a student first.
Thank you.
So I needed to see that part of it. A lot of guys now that are coaching football are just coaches. They don't care about the education piece. I care about the education piece. I care about how my men are they going to lead me? When they lead me, they're boys. When they lead me there, are they going to be good men?
Right.
Are they going to be great members of society? That's what I care about. And I can help you get to the next level if that's what you choose to do. But you got to put the work in. If you don't make it there, now it's not my fault.
No.
But academic-wise, you can go to any college you want to.
Well, and I know why you care, because the football stops bouncing one day.
Yeah.
We're coaching boys who are 98% of them will never play a meaningful down after they graduate.
Yeah.
I mean, the percentages are there. Look them up.
Yeah.
In fact, The odds are actually worse now than Major League Baseball, which used to be the hardest sport to break into because of how many people play baseball in the world.
Yeah.
It's actually harder to be an esports
Yeah.
person now than it is to be anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And we have kids that we've taught. We have kids that we know personally that actually believe that they're going to be a professional YouTuber or a professional esports person.
My daughter thinks she's a professional YouTuber.
Well, and it's like, gosh, you don't understand the odds that go into that because of how connected your generation is.
Yep.
Your odds are decreased. You can get struck by lightning twice
Mm-hmm.
or win the lottery 5 times before you're a famous YouTuber or a famous esports person.
Yep. Yep.
So these are all things that the kids are painstakingly unaware of. That it is our job as Gen X parents to say, please stop thinking I'm being mean and listen to me and hear me out. And the art of the conversation is getting lost now too.
Yeah, it definitely is.
If you're not making your kids unplug when you're going to the dinner table, I don't care if you're out of town.
Yeah.
Some families do that. If I'm out of town, I'm not home, let my kids be plugged in. No, be unplugged. When you're going to dinner, take the earbuds out, put your phones away. Because that's all that we got left.
I watch players, coaches talking, they got earbuds in their ears. They got their phones out.
I can't do it. I physically can't do that.
Now listen, not in my locker room.
No.
I will lose it. And I'm just that dude that's I'm gonna go off and you're gonna know what I like and what I dislike. But at the end of the day, I want to create a great man. I want to create a great woman that's going to get married one day and have great children and continue to make this world better. I had one of my pastors who's going on to be with the Lord, Bishop Williams, told me a long time before, because I thought I could just save the world. He said, "Ty, you know the world is not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. And things that were not allowed in your generation are going to be allowed in the new generation.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to be able to be a parent that's able to adjust to that."
Right.
I look at, and I listen, and I don't want to get into politics at all, but I look at our president now. Our president now can say anything he wants to. Curse words on national TV, it doesn't matter. But beforehand, you never seen a president do that. I mean, behind closed doors. Yes.
Right.
But when you got children watching, you got children looking up to you and respecting you, we have a different language out there now.
And that's in all walks of life. Every day.
I mean, listen, and not the LBGT community. I think I said that right.
LBGTQ.
That's right. Not their community, but now we have cartoons that are geared towards that. And they're like, we got to teach this. It would have never happened in my generation. And there's no disrespect to anybody, but there's so much now that's plugged into our kids. So much stuff is being taught to them now that's coming at a fast rate that we don't know if they're going to be good individuals because what they see on TV, what's been pumped into them daily, what they hear at school, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. But we got to, like you said, unplug and stop giving stuff to pacify and be the parents that we were called to be.
Well, let's talk about this last section because I know we got to wrap up. But what you just said, the word what came to my head, you said is we are in the time of inclusion.
Yeah.
Inclusion is something that, like any other term that we use in the American language, can be good and can be bad, depending on the connotation and the way that we use it. So I'm all about equality and inclusion when it comes to, is everybody going to get something positive out of this?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if we can find if we find even just one thing where it becomes negative, then I'm not about inclusion when it comes to that. Now, we are in an all or nothing society now too. You can't be in a gray area. You got to be all in or all out. And we're in a time of saying, well, if you're not with me, you're against me.
Yeah.
Why? Why can't as a white man and a black man, which we're doing right now, talk across from each other about culture differences, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
We do this, again, because the world needs us to do this.
Exactly.
Do we have differences? Of course we do.
Yeah.
Are we going to agree on everything? Hell no, we're not.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's what makes us better people.
Exactly.
You know, and so this era of inclusion is telling me that I need to agree with everything you say, and you need to agree with everything I say.
Exactly.
And we need to smile and go off camera and go, everybody's great. No, we're not.
You know what's crazy though? It's like being a Republican, being a Democrat. I don't agree with everything the Republicans say, I don't agree with everything what the Democrats say.
Hmm.
I had this argument with this guy this other day. He was like, so you will be a Democrat and you will kill babies. I said, all right, let me put this back on you now. You talking about allowing abortion. I said, you will be a Republican and you will say, okay, we don't believe in abortion, but these babies that need help, that need health care, that need food stamps, that need these things, you'll be the same person to say that we need to not make these people be lazy and not give them anything. So in terms, we're killing babies. We're keeping them in the projects. We're not giving them anything to say, you know what, let's further ourselves on this. Let's further the conversation. How can I help you get better? All we do is talk about each other. And it's like there's no middle. I feel like this at times. And like I said, I hate when it got political. But I feel like this at times. I feel like when it comes to minorities, I feel like in American society, we are treated like a side relationship that hasn't been apologized for. I believe if we just say, you know what, slavery was a problem. The 60s was a problem. The 50s, all this went on, that was a problem. I love you, you're my brother, you're my sister. Let's move forward. How do we move forward? But instead, we keep saying, you know what, there was never a problem. There was never an issue. I talked next door to a teacher that said slavery didn't exist.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, until we can get to the point where we say, you know what, all right, listen, that wasn't me, that was my forefathers. And you know what, I apologize for them. They were wrong. We was wrong in this situation. How do we move forward together as a nation, as a country? How do we move forward? And stop having everybody laughing at us right now because we're like the butt of all jokes. When we are the most powerful nation in the world, everybody looks to us to say, you know what, we're going to be like America. Or I want to be that American dream. I want to go to America. There needs to be an apology from both sides. Let's move forward as people and say, you know what, I'm not going to agree with everything you say, but I love you to death because you're my brother. And if you are a true Christian, or if you are religious, like you say you are, you will be able to press and move forward with those things. But we're in a thing where we're like, I'm not apologizing for that. I had nothing to do with that. As a man, we have learned, I don't want to argue with my wife. I want to cuddle with her later on.
Exactly.
So, you know what? I wasn't wrong, but you know what, baby? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You are? Yes. I'm so sorry.
Can of worms, man. Can of worms.
Do we want to cuddle later on?
They're giving away our secret, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying. But do we want to cuddle later on as people?
Right.
Do we want to be united later on as people? And it's got to start right.
Well, let me crystallize what you just said, and I want you to think about this. So, what we have going on right now, and again, I'm not being political either, but to crystallize what you just said, because I'm gonna paint this picture for you. We are in an era of when professional athletes are turning down going to the White House when they win a championship.
Oh yeah.
Now, I can call out a couple people. One of them is LeBron James refused to go. He said he would never talk to that man. I can't remember her name now. The blonde, yes, who kneels and doesn't want to go to. She said, "I will not go talk to that blah 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 Trump."
Yeah.
So these are people who have a problem with our president. Okay, well, again, relating what you just said, if we're going to cuddle later, we need to talk. These are people that are outright refusing to look that other person across the table and try to work things out. They would rather be angry and they'd rather point the finger and say, "You're in the wrong and I'm doing everything right."
I got you. But is
that fair?
That's fair, but there's got to be a willingness to talk. I don't want to be a photo op if I come talk to you. That's it. I don't want to like how he did Steve Harvey, and the black community ate Steve Harvey up. Like, I mean, they called him a coon, they called him this, and Steve Harvey said, "I was there trying to see this program through, and we came down off the elevators and we was taking the pictures." And he was like, I wasn't trying to take any pictures with him. It was like he photo opped me, and there has to be a change within him, but his ego, his arrogance will never allow him to admit that he was wrong. He has been a billionaire just about his whole life. And I think you won't reach. So what you need to try to do to reach now is the people around him. And the majority of the people around him, they're like yes men. I want somebody as a friend to tell me I'm wrong. I'm wrong about this. And with our president now, and I don't ever want to disrespect the office of president. Don't get me wrong. And y'all don't beat me up or don't bash me. I'm not a Trump fan, but I respect the position that he's in. I probably respect it more than he respects it. But when you come from having everything and you don't know the struggle of real people, it's going to be hard for you to have a conversation and be able to sympathize with those people. So I think if we're going to have a true conversation, it has to be a conversation behind closed doors. I don't want any cameras there.
Yeah.
I don't want to be photo op, and I want something to come out of the conversation. I don't want to be up in the public. See, Ty likes me. See, Kanye West is my friend. I'm not a Kanye West fan. I hate the new album, period. Point blank. And everybody that says it's good is lying to themselves. But every time one of our stars get in trouble, get into a certain situation, they turn to God. Same thing with R. Kelly. R. Kelly came out with a great gospel album. But what was R. Kelly doing in the album? Because he was being accused of molesting children, which he was doing, and we overlooked it for so long.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a process where he's willing to talk. But I think he's so far in his age, his beliefs are his beliefs. You kind of say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right.
And whatever he believes, that's fine. But I don't want to be a photo op, and I want it to be a real conversation.
Well, I think the other side of that argument too, and I understand what you're saying. The other side of it is this: you still have to be willing to. If you don't want to talk to him, like you said, try to talk to his advisor. Say, "I'll come to the White House. I don't feel comfortable." Don't say you won't do it.
Yeah.
Just say, "I don't feel comfortable, but if I could sit down with you." I think that needs to happen rather than these athletes just getting this green card to say, you know what? Yeah, if you don't want to come, don't come. I don't agree with that.
But that's why we take the Muhammad Ali's. The Muhammad Ali's would did the same exact thing.
And I wish certain athletes would stop being compared to Muhammad Ali. There's one Muhammad Ali.
I'm telling you though.
There's one Muhammad Ali.
I told you, in history turn, he'd be on the right side of history before long. Muhammad Ali was on the wrong side of history.
He was different, dude.
No, you think about he refused to go fight for his country because he didn't believe in this war. He's like, why should I, as a black man, go fight a war when I'm not respected in my own land? You want me to go fight for you, and I have no problem with these people.
What did he not do, though, man? He didn't do this. He didn't say, give me a job.
Yeah, well, I mean, he fought back and got his job.
Exactly.
Because America loves a comeback story.
He earned everything.
But when you're not allowed to come back, when you're not allowed to be the person that you're supposed to be. Oh, come on now, coach. This other guy has not been allowed to come back and be the person he's supposed to be. But that goes back to, why can't we just disagree and you still see me as your brother? Why does it have to be that you don't agree with what I say or what I do?
Well, yeah, and
be a problem?
And that's the thing. I definitely disagree with you on this, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I love you no matter what. My thing with the individual we're talking about, because I don't want to get off. I'm pretty sure
we got off subject.
y'all are smart enough to understand what we're talking about right now. But that guy, just to keep it 100 here, he left the job that he had.
Yeah.
He left it.
Yeah.
And he did interview for another one. They said, "Look, you can be a backup." He said, "I don't want to be a backup." He was allowed.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you see him 100 million times better than any backup right now in the league, except for Teddy Bridgewater, by the way, who just wrote his check for next year.
I love Teddy Bridgewater. I've been following him since his freshman year at Louisville.
Yeah. But when you see that and you're like, all right, something going on here. And then when you have a president who calls those guys names, and I mean just blatant names.
Well, and that was a perfect example, and I know we've got to wrap this up. But that was a perfect example that encapsulates really, really everything that we're talking about today. We have the generational divide.
Yeah.
That encapsulates the does it not? I mean, that
it hits it right on
when you use the word crystallizing, you've got a man who's the most powerful man in the world. You've got guys who are powerful because of money and what they do, and you have a message there, you have symbols there, and being a proud American, I see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And my thing is this: at the end of the day, let's not name call.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't there be some sort of summit where you have the politicians on one side and you have the athletes on another? I don't like athletes trying to be politicians, and I don't like politicians trying to be athletes. You are good at what you do.
Yeah.
That is for a reason. So please talk about it. Instead of getting angry and doing it through the press, that's the wrong way to do it, but nobody ever learns. If you ever want change in this world, it can't be this group over here is all right and this group over here is all wrong. But we're not learning from that's the problem that I think we're really getting to, is generations, we're not learning from the one before.
Yeah, I mean, but you think about it. You think about the Jim Browns of the world, who stood for equality back then, left football at his prime.
He was self-aware. He was different.
He was. I mean, but we athletes had to be that voice back then. The guys in the Olympics who won the gold medal stood with their fists raised.
Right.
Like that. All right now.
There's a time and a place. Yeah, there's a time and a place.
It would be frowned upon. But like I said, by us saying racism doesn't exist, it didn't exist in the past, and nobody getting together to talk about it. Listen, I don't want my athletes now just to shut up and grow.
I don't either.
I don't.
I don't either.
And I mean, listen, LeBron James has millions of followers, and he could possibly lose millions in the process, but losing money now won't even hurt him. But it has to be a voice for the people that can't speak. So me, I can sit here and do my little podcast, but I can't be a voice like LeBron James can, or I can't be a voice like Dwayne Wade can. I can't be a voice like those guys.
Right.
So they're giving a voice to the hopeless. So when they come to our communities, or they come in like, black folks will tell you quick, why didn't you say anything for us? Why didn't you stand up for us? There are a lot of black people right now that are mad with President Barack Obama because they felt like he didn't do enough for us. Now, me and my beliefs, I'm saying, yeah, you're right about that. But the thing was, he wasn't just a black president for the black people. He was everybody's president. And until we get over that, Donald Trump right now is everybody's president. I need him to act like he's everybody's president. And that's what I want to see in my president. Ronald Reagan acted like he was everybody's president. Bill Clinton, he loved everybody in his presidency.
He made a lot of people a lot of money. That's why people loved him.
Yeah, and then you go to the Bushes. I didn't like them when they were in office. I didn't like them that much, but I love them now. Just because I can see the true man that they are.
I love their patriotism, but that was it.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to think for a lot of us. They tell us you need to be more patriotic. You need to make America great again. All right, tell me a time in our generation where America was great for my great grandparents on down to me. I mean, it's getting better right now, but as a teacher, I can't make any money. The struggle is real. Do I want anybody to give me anything? No, I just want to have the same opportunities everybody else has. So I'm going to go create my own lane in the process. But a lot of people are not able, black, white, Spanish, no matter what you're there, a lot of them are not able to go create their own lane, and they're trying to take what is given. But when we have certain people in different offices and different positions that are holding you down, that's the conversation that needs to be had.
Well, at the end of the day, so here we are in the court of the common man with Coach Dave and Coach Steele, which I think is what this is. I think what we can agree on when we're adjourned here is say that every generation has something that it can do better.
Exactly.
We all have things that we do great, that do better than the others. We all fail, and sometimes now this generation now is going to be better at things than we ever were.
Exactly.
And I want to root them on. I'm going to be their first fan.
I'm their biggest fan.
Exactly. But I'll also be the guy where sometimes I say, gosh, I need to build something underground because y'all are going to let me die when I'm old.
Exactly.
So I'm both hopeful and I'm both terrified.
Yeah, listen, you want to go crazy right now? Ask your kid who's their top 5 rappers. I made the mistake and asked Janae this time.
Yeah, you knew you were going to get a good answer there.
I'd like to die. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, you knew you were in trouble. Well, not only that.
She gave me one that I said, yes, my baby is real. She was like, I like Jay-Z would be 5 on my list there. And I was like, he made the list.
Made the list.
But every time now she's like, oh, listen to that old people music. I'm like, listen, it is what it is.
Yeah, again, gosh, it just goes to show how fun these things that we talk about really are, and that depending on where you come from, who you are now, your perception could be completely different from ours, and so that's why we always invite you guys to message us during the show or even before or after. Yeah, be a part of it, because that's what makes it fun for us is we don't think of everything, and we always leave the subject open-ended. I think that's the value in our show, is that we don't say that we're right.
Yeah.
We just say, look, this is what we got for you. You can take with it and chew on it, or you can tell us we're wrong. The great thing is, a lot of the time, you tell us that we're hitting on point.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that, and we thank you all.
Yeah, and listen, y'all don't get mad at us. We're not mad at each other. we've had this conversation many of times off camera. I already know what he's going to say.
It's fun.
He knows what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's fun.
But in the process, that's my brother. And that's what J.O.B. stands for, Journey of Brothers, the J.O.B. podcast. And you think about Job in the Bible, when Job's wife told him to curse God and quit, he still praised God, even in his roughest times. And I've learned to praise God in my roughest times, even in the times when I'm not living right.
Absolutely.
So God is still worthy to be praised. So if my opinion hurts you or offends you, I apologize. But I will also ask that you look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, this is my opinion, and he feels that way. And you are a man just like I'm a man. I put my pants on just like you do every day. And we should never be scared to have a conversation with each other.
No, always be ready to grow, and sometimes when we are uncomfortable is when we're growing the most.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that puts a button on it, everybody. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Get back to your weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in on this very rare 10:30 a.m. breakfast appointment. I've actually enjoyed it on a Sunday morning. We might do this again.
Man, this is great.
It was fun. It was fun.
But I mean, we always go off subject.
It happens.
Yeah,
That's life.
We always go off subject, but it all pertains to each other. All pertains.
Well, everything ties in together.
Yeah.
I think it does. You know, everything ties in together, and we're just trying to teach life lessons. And like you said earlier, I would not be the man I am today without sports. Sports have taught me just about everything that I live by and that I know, and that's why I became a coach. Is because that was my way of giving back.
Oh yeah.
Period.
I got Miss Pickett who said this the first time I seen her chiming in. So I'm glad to have you. She said, I love it. I'll tune in every time. And Mrs. Gaynor, I love you to death too.
That's awesome.
Tell Randall I'm proud of him. I can't wait to see him on the football field next year. And hopefully he's playing basketball. But I'll see him next weekend at Gulf Coast State College because we got a lot of work to do.
All right. We'll actually be there for our preseason tournament here in a few weeks.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. What?
Yeah.
What?
We'll be there.
All right. Go Mosley.
Hey, it's basketball time. Put the footballs away. It's time to move on, and we appreciate all your support. This is your assignment for the week, everybody. We want you to vote for what the next subject is going to be. So whatever you think it should be, fun, boring, dramatic, whatever you want to talk about, shoot us a message. We'll chew on it. We'll decide, and that's about it. For Coach Ty, I'm Dave Ford. Y'all be blessed. Have a great, great week. Be safe. Make good choices, everybody. We love y'all.
Make good choices.
God bless.